All right, people. Today I want to give a quick lesson in instigating because a year ago, the instigators they had this whole entire sector in a chokehold, and they could get anybody to respond or react in a certain manner by triggering their emotions. But like I've been telling y'all, 2022 is a different year, and I've learned from the instigators. I know that a year ago, if I would have seen a video that was made on me, like I seen this morning from Anti, you probably would have gotten a scheduled live stream of me going, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours responding to some nonsense and trying to get my point across. But again, it's 2022. I handle things a whole lot differently from a year ago. And the first thing that I've learned was get all your facts straight before you respond or give your opinion. And that's what we're doing. So let's get into the facts. So there's been some things going on in this sector for a while, probably the last 2, 3 months. And in one event, CPS was called on somebody's family. Now, I gave my opinion on that back on December 14th. I said, yo, that's wrong. I know how that CPS system is. It does a whole lot of damage and very little solving. So when I gave my opinion, that was on raw emotions from me knowing how fucked up the CPS system is. And the next day, when the only one did her live stream, I asked, I said, yo, you call CPS on Corey's family? She said, yeah. She said, my son was being stalked online by this man. So I immediately made the decision not to speak on it until I had all the facts. Now, it took a while, but the facts was made clear. The only one dropped the receipts a few days ago, and I was able to put together all the facts and make the sector aware of, yo, we trying to protect the children and put predator labels on certain people, but somebody in the sector has been attacking a 13-year-old. Now, Corey decided to immediately respond, and he attempted to lie at first and say, he didn't do that. You didn't hear that out my mouth. But knowing that the facts was already put online, he tried to cover it up and say he was acting out of emotions because CPS was called on his child. Now, even if that was true, me personally, I wouldn't have handled it that way. I've made it clear over the last couple of days that if CPS was called on my family, I would look to hold those responsible for that action accountable. Not a 13-year-old child that probably doesn't even know what's going on YouTube. Now, remember, I said if that was true because that's not the truth. You see, when you gather all of the facts, right, you would know that Corey made those homophobic statements about the only one's child on November 15th. CPS wasn't called on Corey's family until December 14th. So Corey was making those homophobic statements a whole month prior to CPS showing up at his house. So that whole excuse of he was only saying that about the only one son because CPS was called on his family is a complete lie. He was on the only one son's page in November, making those statements about how he jumps on the bed, how he lays in the bed, how he walks around his house, calling him a homo. All that was done in November. CPS showed up at his house on December 14th. The text messages that he showed me about the only one and grown man talking about his kids happened on December 7th. A whole month after, Corey was already attacking their child. So according to the facts, it wasn't Corey that was responding. It was the only one that was responding. Because Corey, back in November, was already attacking their kids. So me knowing these facts and me presenting these facts, the only conclusion that I came up with was, let's leave the kids out of it. I never said nothing about not calling CPS, not calling the police. The solution I came up with was leave the kids out of it. Now, something that I also know, women handle things different than men. So my opinion on the police and CPS may be different from others because my experiences with these people haven't been good one. I haven't seen CPS really keep a family together. I haven't seen them not separate children from their other siblings. Nah. So my opinion on that agency or law enforcement is different. I barely seen the police solve any real crimes in our community. I rarely seen them act like they really give a fuck about what's going on in our community. So my opinion is different. I've never not once came on here and said, don't call these people. I've never not once said that. So when people try to say that I'm encouraging others not to do something, that's a false statement. That's a false statement. Because I disagree with CPS being called over something that's going on YouTube, opposed to what I've later found out was going beyond YouTube. See, Corey statements and all, that was beyond YouTube. Like I told him, even if CPS was called on your family, as a man, I wouldn't have handled that way. I wouldn't have started attacking a 13-year-old. But as we know, that wasn't even the true case here. He wasn't responding out of anger. I don't like CPS wasn't even called on his family until a month after he made those statements. But again, I know what you're trying to do here. And the instigating won't work. Me and grown man, we settled our differences already. We have an understanding. And we had that understanding face to face. Not over the phone, not over the internet, face to face. Me and Smoke, we talk all the time. We talk all the time. So that nonsense, you can't try and instigate no nonsense like that. I'm pretty sure if Smoke has a problem with me, he wouldn't have to go on the internet. He can call my phone directly. If me and grown man was to have a disagreement or something like that, it wouldn't escalate to nothing. So I don't know what it is you're trying to instigate, what it is you're trying to do. It's not going to work. It's not, because my response to the situation wasn't off of emotions. I looked at all the facts. I didn't just go in and say, "Yo, the only one you wrong for calling CPS on that man's family." I said I wouldn't call CPS. That's what I said. I didn't come off of Corey and say, "Yo, Corey, you were stalking." No, I waited for the facts to actually drop to show that Corey was really stalking or looking at this 13-year-old's page. And I'm not saying that he's a stalker for looking at his page. No, I don't understand why he's on this 13-year-old's page looking for weird behavior and speaking on how he's walking or laying on his bed. That's that young man's privacy right there. He's in the comfort of his own home doing whatever he want to do. I would not be trying to dissect or look for any type of weird behavior on a young man's page. And that's what Corey did. And I had to wait for those facts to come out before I even confronted him. I didn't take the only one's word and say, "Yo, she's saying you stalking her son. Is that true?" I didn't even question him about it. But when the facts came out, I couldn't ignore it. I couldn't look the other way. I got a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old who all got YouTube pages. So 2022 and beyond, I would only suggest that before you give your opinion on things, get all your facts straight. I want to remind y'all, this happened in November and December. We're in January. I didn't address none of this until all the facts was dropped because I wanted to give everybody a fair shake. And the bottom line is that the facts are the facts. Trust me, you got the right to do whatever y'all want to do out here. Just know that a man's reaction is different from a female's reaction. And that's all you need to understand. Females will handle it one way, men will handle things another way. But best believe you have the right to do whatever you want to do. So, never let an instigator control your emotions. Because the only thing they want you to do is react and be reckless. You're not going to get that from me in 2022. So, I'm out of here.